Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. In this one, I was reading a lot of comments. I was going through YouTube clips. Kathy Wood, Michael Burry. There's this other guy. He was talking about Bitcoin. He had a debate with Peter Schiff. Um, I am in the camp more so with Peter Schiff than I am with basically any other debater. And what I'm going to talk about in this one is going to be a little bit of Bitcoin, or I should say cryptocurrencies in general. And I'll talk a little bit about the exponential moves that we're seeing and how that could impact a finite world. When looking, I'm going to start with the cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies are they're man-made. Everything man-made has gone to zero over time. Absolutely everything outside of maybe real estate, but real estate's tied to land. So you have a structure on it, which eventually gets destroyed anyway, but the land is worth something. So you've got land, natural resources, which is basically part of the land. You've got human history, which is worth something to humans. And then you've got like precious metals, which is more or less natural resources anyway, and land. So really land and natural resources are the only thing that has been valuable over long periods of time. Everything else has gone to zero. Every single currency, every single company, every single country, it's all gone. And we just cycle through natural resources and natural resources being valuable. So any way that you frame the argument, I don't see how cryptocurrencies will have value on a long-term argument, because everything in history has gone to zero that's been man-made or created. And if that is the case, I don't know why this time would be different. It doesn't make any sense that a cryptocurrency would hold value over a very long period of time, if nothing in history has proven to do so outside of natural resources. That's the only thing that's held value is natural resources, and especially precious metals and all the metals, because we use that and they have value to humans for making things, tangible value. Intangibles, and I don't know how people can argue that cryptocurrencies have value. In my opinion, they have no value. It is all fictitiously created and made up by humans. That value is. And if you listen to all the arguments that Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency people make, is that it's going to go up in price. That the network, that it's digital. This is a digital world. Well, 10, 20 years ago, it was a world that, Walkmans ruled. And then it was CDs. And then it's, those little, can't remember what they are. Not an iPhone, but an whatever it is that we'd listen music to. Not iPad, not iPhone, whatever it is. I can't remember. But people listen to those, and I don't see them anymore. They just listen off their phone. Now, is the network where the value is? Or are these things that kicked off of the network? Is that valuable? Is an email valuable? If I get an email from in Gmail, is that what's valuable? I mean, that's really what you have in crypto, kind of. And I know you've got math that backs it. Whoop-de-doo. Anyone can create math. So I don't know the value aspect of cryptos. It doesn't make any sense to me. And I understand the idea behind it. But guess what? The network may or may not support what you want it to do. And what is required for me to change my mind, and I think Peter Schiff had this one pretty well laid out, is a mass adoption of cryptocurrency that everyone uses nonstop, where you price things in that crypto. Now, here's the thing that I don't understand. And it doesn't mean that everyone else understands it either. doesn't mean I have to go read the white papers of it, because it's not going to help me understand. What I don't understand is, why are people knowingly going into a crypto that is already a mature crypto that it only has so much in it. So what's going to happen then is that you're going to have massive deflation of everything. Massive. The people who are the early adopters gain all the wealth just by lucky happenstance. They didn't create anything of value in society. They just got there first. Does that seem like that's a cryptocurrency that's great to adopt? Wow, all these people own it right now. And if they don't sell, does that mean they're the most powerful and the most wealthy just because they bought it first? What value did they put into society? What barriers to entry is there for another crypto with a better network to come in and have that not be the best? Why do we have to stay with an archaic blockchain? Blockchain's going to go away. We're going to have something that's better. We always have, and we probably always will. Why is this the one? It's slow. It has transaction fees. It's not anonymous and private. We're going to find something far better than this. So I think it's a complete bubble. Timing, don't know. Now here's something else. When wealth, so if all wealth comes and all value comes from natural resources, that's what I've just said, is that natural resources are the only thing that's basically protected your wealth or value over long periods of time. Everything else has gone to zero. Everything man-made's gone to zero. If that's the case, and if all value is found in commodities, basically, and we're using everything at an exponential pace, everything is going up on charts that look at some percentage growth. That's exponential. If we're doing everything at exponential growth rates, where's that finite ceiling? And I'm going to give you one example. I heard this from Chris Martenson. Chris Martenson, I knew this in the back of my head, but I didn't really, this kind of brings some light to it. It was a good explanation. If you put a drop of water in the middle of a stadium, like a 60,000 seat stadium, and it doubles every minute, how many minutes does it take to fill the stadium? It's something like 51 or 52 minutes. But here's the thing that is incredible about it. How many minutes was the stadium basically 97% empty? And I think it was something like 5 minutes. 5 minutes. So it looked like nothing was happening for this very long period of time. And then when we got towards the end, everything happened quick. We had no time to react. Everything in this world is growing at exponential paces. How many airplanes, how many cars sold? Most likely, if we go to a renewable world, it's going to be how many solar panels we're creating, how many wind turbine blades and frames and structures. All of those things are going to be ramping up exponentially. What I worry about, or what I'm positioning for, I should say, is, well, when are we going to hit the limit? We can't grow all this stuff infinitely. This planet only has so much stuff on it. And we're growing these things at infinite clips. And if everything happens in the last 5 minutes of this 53, 52-minute game, that means we won't see it coming. Oh, we still have 97% left. Yeah, but the example, if it's doubling very quickly, you're 5 doublings away. Now, how long do we have in some of this? Maybe we only have a double away. Maybe we have less than a double. We might only have 7 more years before we start hitting massive constraints in things. Whether it be copper, silver, platinum, palladium, rhodium, I don't know what it is. Whatever it is. I think we're going to hit constraints here in the next 10 years probably. So the way that I view things might be a little bit different than a lot of other people view it. So when I view things, I look at things like, this has massive amounts of value to humans. And if value has always been held by commodities over a long period of time, I mean, you've got artwork, real estate, and commodities. And if I kind of tie myself to precious metals, physical precious metals, and real estate, and I own those things, when things start to become apparent, where we have shortages of things, that means that you want to own the commodities that have the most value to humans. And that's kind of one aspect I look at things. So I take this engineering type background look, or physics, or however you want to call it, whatever it is about environment. You look at all this stuff and you say, well, if I can position myself in things that have incredible value to humans and you can just hold on to it, I don't see the downside there. If they're inflation protected, which we're going to have inflation through our currency, and if that's where value has been stored historically, why wouldn't I sit in those assets? So I've always thought from that paradigm where if we're growing things exponentially, that at some point we're going to hit some finite limit. And if I own all the stuff that has incredible value to humans, and I have it in my, basically above ground in my possession, well, that seems like a really smart thing to do. And I could maybe even save my kids, if we ran into a problem and I have all the value. Again, maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe not. Now, human beings, if you look at things through time, what has allowed us to be so successful as a species has been our ability to gather energy. Our ability to gather energy has been better than any other species. And that's what has allowed us to be so successful as a species. So what I'm also worried about is that we're growing things at exponential clips, and we're using very high energy dense sources that are finite. Oil, natural gas, coal, so on and so forth. And we're trying to transition to a world that has a lower energy density than those fossil fuels. So we've never gone backwards. We've always gone in higher energy density sources through our life, through the years. We've gone through like burning wood to whale blubber or whatever it is to fossil fuels, which is basically going up in energy return on energy investment every single iteration of going forward. But we're going to have to go backwards with solar and wind and these other things. And we haven't done that. And I don't know if we can successfully do that. So that's another thing that I kind of worry about in the future, is that we aren't able to transition from a high energy return on investment to a lower energy return on investment source. And it's going to be very mineral intensive to do that, to go with those options. And I don't know if the world has those minerals that we can just take out of the ground and make so much solar. Maybe we do. Maybe we can transition just fine. But whenever things start growing at exponential paces, that's when I get a little nervous, because you can't see necessarily when you have a problem. It'll be right on top of you when you see it. And when it's right on top of you, it might be too late. But there's a lot of things we can do to mitigate those risks. It's just the ramifications to the economy and the financial markets, because now everyone's going to be able to see that we have a problem, and that problem is going to manifest itself in probably currency collapses and markets that could potentially crash, because people are going to be worried that there's not enough energy. And when your currency is predicated off of future growth, when the stock market is predicated off of future earnings, and then the energy sources that people figure out are going to be scarcer, if they are. I'm not, this isn't 100% certainty. I'm just kind of going out on a limb. If it's more scarcity in terms of energy in the future, then your currencies would fail. And then you're back to, well, what currency or what natural resources are the most valuable to humans? And if you have it in your control, you win in that aspect, or that it kind of mitigates that risk. So that's some other things to think about if you're an investor on a very long-term time horizon, and more of a, it's not really a doom and gloomer. It's just looking at risks that are out there. So I wanted to talk about that. That's all I've got. Hopefully you guys got some entertainment out of it. If you guys like this content, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed, and thank you for listening. This is Finding Value.